If you had just $3,924 to buy a motorcycle, you couldn't be shopping in the 2023 Super Naked section. Or could you?
Triumph Super Naked doesn't get nearly as much love as a Super Duke, a Street Fighter, a Tuono, or even an MT-10 for some reason. But why not?
I mean, it's got a creative 3-cylinder 1200cc motor that makes 177 horsepower, a fancy single-sided swing arm exposing a beautiful wheel,
Sexy Brembo calipers all round,
and even Öhlins suspension front and back with these enticing gold stanchions, now wrapped in a brake disc. So maybe they don't get the appreciation that they deserve, but what usually stops me from buying one isn't the fact that I'd rather have a Super Duke. It's that they cost $18,000.
So I had to make a few sacrifices to accommodate my budget, like a hole in the engine, bent forks, a sizable dent in the tank, and a front wheel that looks like it rode over a landmine, to name just a few issues.
Now, they go for around $12,000 second-hand where I live, so if I can fix this one up for cheap, I could make a decent profit to buy a Super Duke. Although I've already found some damage that I failed to spot before buying it, and it might make fixing this bike impossible. So here it is, a 2023 Triumph Speed Triple 1200 RS with just 5,000 kilometers on it.
It's project bike number 3, I guess, but only crash damage bike number 2. The CBR would be here, but it's currently having a sleepover with a friend. However, rebuilding the CBR was one of the most fun, rewarding, yet frustrating things I've ever done.
But clearly the fun outweighed the frustration because I've decided to do it again.
To be honest, I've never been a huge Triumph fan, but then again, the only one I've ever ridden was a Speed Twin 1200 a few years back, but it wasn't really my cup of tea, to keep things British.
So that's why this Speed Triple was up for sale on Facebook Marketplace for an entire month before I went to go and have a look at it. In the beginning, it was up for sale for just under $5,000, and the only problems I could see in the photos was the detached brake disc, which I had no idea how that happened, and the hole in the engine. So it seemed like it could be financially possible to rebuild it.
Believe it or not, Triumph's been making the Speed Triple since 1994, so it's even older than I am. Over the years, it's gotten progressively less hideous, but it wasn't until the new generation launched in 2020 that it caught my eye. It made more horsepower, looked much prettier, and sported all the tech a boy could need.
But ultimately, I didn't go look at it right away, despite the fact that I love super bikes and super nakeds, and this ticked that box. But over the next few weeks, it still sat in the back of my mind, and I couldn't stop thinking about it. A month later, the price dropped by over $1,000, and I figured this was a sign from the motorcycle god, Valentino Rossi. This was my cue to go have a look at it.
Rather fittingly, it was the rainiest day of the year, the perfect weather to buy a British bike. As usual, it was a dark, dingy place that made spotting hidden damage rather difficult. Not to mention, I turn into an overexcited kid when I see a potential bike, and all logic goes out the window. So within a few minutes, they were loading it up for me, which was rather challenging between the rain, gravel, and exploded front wheel. But luckily, there was a good boy to help out. He helped more than I did, to be fair. I was dreading unloading it all by myself the whole swim home, because I knew the aluminium ramps would be extra slick in the rain, and neither of the brakes worked, so I was pretty sure the bike would just fly down the ramp uncontrollably and crash into the workbench. But fortunately, that flat front tire actually came in handy and slowed the bike down enough so I didn't even need any brakes.
And that is how I ended up with it. A lot of this sounds familiar, right? It's got bent forks and needs a new subframe, exactly like the Honda did. But to be honest, I kinda messed up with this one because I missed one really big problem with this bike before buying it.
So let me show you the damage in a bit more detail. I'll give the damage a green flag if it's cheap and easy to fix, a red flag if it's impossible or expensive to fix, and a beige flag if it's somewhere in between. There's the simple stuff like the shattered right-hand mirror.
Beige flag. It's very easy to install a new one, but they cost a lot more than I would like, and finding second-hand options is tricky.
The handlebars are the same story.
Beige flag, because I can't tell if they're bent or not. I think they're bent, but looks can be deceiving. I hope I'm wrong. I think they're bent. I'm pretty sure they're bent. No, those are definitely bent. Are they bent? I feel like they're bent. Those are bent.
The right-hand rear set has snapped off, which is obvious and easy to replace.
Green flag, but I only just realized that the left foot peg is missing too. It snapped off so cleanly that I didn't even notice.
There's a giant dent in the tank, and another little one here, and another one over here.
Green flag, believe it or not, but only because I have options here. I found a new one, but it is ridiculously expensive, and I also have someone who says they can fix this one, so I just have to make a decision.
More silly stuff like the right-hand turn signal that is destroyed.
Green flag, because I already have a replacement.
The shield below it is severely scratched.
Also green flag, these are surprisingly easy to find.
The right-hand fairing panel here is missing.
Red flag, they're pretty hard to find second-hand and kind of expensive from Triumph. Luckily, there's still one on the other side.
You can see from this angle how bent the subframe is, and if you look a bit closer, it's actually snapped off on both sides.
Red flag, remember the subframe for the Honda cost me almost $2,000, so I hate subframes.
Also, the rear seat or cowl is MIA.
Beige flag, they seem to be second-hand options, mostly in the UK. I almost found one locally, but the price new from Triumph is hefty. But this is where things get a bit more interesting.
The front wheel is cracked and has a giant chunk taken out of it, and somehow the brake disc got detached.
Red flag, there is no saving this front wheel or disc, and I have no idea how the hell this happened.
And if you reach into the brake caliper, you can actually feel that the pistons are loose and have fallen out.
Red flag. I'm not even sure if all the pistons are still in there, but how expensive could a Brembo caliper be, right?
Speaking of expensive, the front mudguard is destroyed.
Red flag for a few reasons. Firstly, it's carbon fiber, which means money. Secondly, there are these extra pieces that bolt behind the mudguard in front of the fork, and the right-hand one is missing. And thirdly, the threads to bolt that on have snapped off inside the Öhlins fork leg.
Then there's the hole in the crank cover.
Big red flag, because you can actually see pieces of metal inside the engine. This was one of the main reasons that I didn't want to buy the bike, because obviously metal inside an engine destroys it very quickly. But I'm hoping that it switched off instantaneously during the crash and didn't ingest any metal or run without any oil, because obviously now there's a super handy oil drain hole right here. But there's only one way to find out.
But then there's the part I missed, the bent forks.
The biggest red flag. You'd think I would be good at spotting bent forks now after the Honda, but I'm not. In my defense, these aren't as bent as the Honda's forks were. This was also crammed between lots of other bikes, which made it hard to see. It was dark in there. I hadn't had much caffeine that day. Ultimately, I have a lot of excuses, but I didn't notice it until I got the bike home. Even though I theoretically know everything to look for in a bike like this, I still turn into a giddy child when bike shopping, and logic goes out the window. The problem with bent forks is that if the impact was big enough to bend the forks, it could have potentially bent the frame as well. And this was another area that I glossed over since I thought the forks were straight.
But upon closer inspection, you can see how the nut on the top of the headstock is not sitting flush with the frame anymore. And if you look below the headstock, you can actually make out the hole in the neck of the frame where the steering stem goes through and where the bearings sit.
This is not a good sign. My Honda didn't look like this in the slightest, despite the forks being more bent. I'm hoping it's just stripped threads on the steering stem and that's given everything space to move around in there, but ultimately I am petrified. So this is going to be the first area that I want to investigate to figure out if I'm screwed or safe. All of this makes me wonder how this bike crashed. The front end is mangled, but yet the headlights are fine. The right-hand side is scratched, but yet that giant exhaust is fine. The tank has a dent on the top of it, not the right-hand side. It seems like a really weird crash. But of course, when buying damaged bikes, you also have to consider what isn't broken.
The dash is good to go, although it's missed a service. What an irresponsible previous owner. And the button I need to navigate the display is missing. But luckily, it seems to work with the screwdriver, so I can see that it only has 5,000 kilometers on it. I've got the key, and it's my first bike with a keyless ignition. The swing arm looks brand new, the rear wheel looks fine, the tail light is fine, the front seat is fine, and even the passenger foot pegs look good.
But the biggest green flag to me, and the reason that I ended up buying the bike on the spot, was because the bike shop already had a second-hand subframe for it, and it was just $150. So I already feel like I've saved over $1,800 compared to the Honda.
In fact, I got the right-hand turn signal, shield-looking thing, rear set and subframe, all for under $300.
So that means that the only thing that can stop me in my tracks is the frame being bent. But as for today, I just wanted to show you guys the bike before we start working on it.
I'm also still waiting for a paddock stand for the single-sided swing arm so I can get the bike off the ground. And I think I'm going to need Torx sockets since I've never worked on a European bike. Besides my old Husqvarna Supermoto, but I don't think that counts here.
But anyway, let me know what you think about my speed triple and just speed triples in general. Also let me know how you think the frame is going to turn out, and I'll see you on the next ride.